What's up, guys? So this is the Drytron build that I took to UK Nationals. Now, I didn't do very good in the main event. I ended up dropping on the first day after going X3. I'm still not sure if it was bad luck or if it was just a really bad build. But I ended up streamlining that build a bit, coming back on the second day and managing to take one of the winner boxes, which was quite nice. I did a winner box and a winner mat. For the winner mat, I got to the finals and unfortunately lost to Sword Soul. For the winner box, yeah, I took it, didn't drop a game. I only dropped one game actually out of all of the games I played in that winner box. So it was all 2-0s and then last one was a 2-1. Actually, no, I think it was 3 2-0s and then semi-finals was a 2-1. But yeah, the deck is really good. So let's get straight into it. 3 alpha, 3 zeta, 3 gamma, and 1 delta. So yeah, standard ratios. I've been going back and forth on 3 delta or 1 delta with prosperity because on one hand, obviously, it's just nice to have the name, even if you don't get the effect. On the other hand, it does conflict a little with prosperity. But in general, I still haven't decided what's the best. The guy who won the tournament with this deck was playing 1 delta, and he seems to be insane with it. So that's why for now I think I'm going to stay with that. But yeah, that's the Drytron lineup. Then as for the fairies, 1 ruler, 1 lancier, 1 diviner. Yeah, main deck this. I just think it's amazing, to be honest. The problem with the Ammo Factor build, and that's what the reason why I didn't go with it, essentially is that it loses to D barrier, whereas this build doesn't. And this build also can easily play around Nib. So the combination of those two things just made me prefer this build a lot. Now, I didn't play Herald in the main deck for any events. Actually, I don't think I played Herald at all. I can't remember if I played it inside deck or main deck, but I didn't play Herald because I just found it really bad. I don't want to get rid of 2 cards in my hand for Monster Negate. It's nice, but I just really don't want to do that. But this was amazing, and even against Flunder, when you do this combo, you search out Lancia. So even normal summoning this against Flunder, even though this isn't stopping them, you're going to Lancia them so they can barely play, and then this can just beat over stuff. Other than that, obviously it's not ideal, but still not bad. And just going second, I would leave this in a lot of the time because just the easy win condition once you've got into a simplified game state. Lancia is sick against everyone. Like Despia destroys Despia, like, because they have to play a Laws, they have to play Brandon Reds. If they want to go into Albion, if they want to use Mirror Jade, like this stops their Mirror Jade follow up. Card's amazing, and Diviner because Diviner. But yeah, really like this build. Then for the rituals, played 1 Beto Buster, 2 Ben 10, Natasha and Drakid. So one of the things that I did, which I am going to change to copy the first place guys list, is put this in the counter trap in the side deck. This card is great, and funnily enough, almost all of the times I won the die roll, I lost the game, whereas whenever I lost the die roll, I won the game, which is quite funny. But this card is good, but obviously going second is just not amazing to draw. And also, you just don't need it in every matchup. One of the things about this deck is interesting is that if you establish a board, it's rare that they can kill you through that board. Not that many decks can out your board and kill you, especially because one of your outs is droplets, one of your outs is dark ruler. If they droplets, they need to get rid of a lot to droplets you. If they dark ruler, they're not killing you anyway. So it's rarely needed game 1 because not many people are main decking dark ruler. Some people are main decking droplets. And then like when you're going second, you just always side this out. So yeah, I'm putting this in the side deck from now on. Ben 10 because Ben 10 is OP. I took out Idaten because it just wasn't coming up for me. Even I didn't really play against Sword Soul, and even when I did, Vanity's Lancia beat Sword Soul. You don't actually need collectors to beat Sword Soul, even though it is nice to have. So I just took out Idaten because it was never coming up, and I put it in the side. Natasha's busted, she won any game. And Draconids, I used to not rate this card, but after playing a lot, I realized this card just does so much, especially again in the late game, simplified game states. This card is just amazing. It's also nice because obviously in certain hands, which is a bit awkward, you can use this to ritual summon as well by sending this to the graveyard, obviously, which is just great. But yeah, those are the rituals that I played. The deck is a clean 40, by the way, for consistency. And then just your consistency as well. So 3 Cyber Emergency, 3 Prep, 2 Prosperity. Funny with the Prosperity, so these two obviously are just amazing. Prosperity is funny. I actually have 3, but I lent one out, and I wasn't sure what deck I was going to play for UK Nats, and so I ended up by the time I decided I was playing Drytron, I just didn't want to be deep and take the last Prosperity off that guy. So I was just like, I'll go with 2, but 2 is fine, to be honest. A lot of times I like playing 2 Prosperity anyway, because sometimes you don't want to resolve this card because obviously like you don't want to get rid of the extra deck. It is quite precious, but whatever. 2 Fafnir, 2 Nova. Yeah, I like this ratio. Just because the Fafnir is good for obviously getting your Nova or your Meteonis, but you don't want to choke on it. Same with the Novas. But yeah, just in general, good ratio. Play 1 Meteonis. I actually played 2. Yeah, so I played 2 Meteonis in the event, and 2 was amazing. I have gone back down to 1 because it's weird. 2 doesn't come up in terms of people banishing the ritual spell, but it does come up in terms of making your Zeta actually plus you later on in the game, and also occasionally it lets you ritual summon 3 times on your turn without having to use item, which is really, really nice. So I can see a world where I go back up to 2, but for now, because I wanted a clean 40, I did cut it down to 1. Then just busted one. I would say Terraforming, Called by the Grave, Mystic Mine. I basically have 2 copies of this because of Terraforming, and even more copies because of Prosperity, Duster. Yeah, so these are just the busted one. I was Callback is Callback. Foolish is nice because it sends whatever you need. Yeah, not really much to say about that. And then 3 droplets and unlocking. So yeah, like I said, this would go out in the future. Droplets are just cracked all day. To be honest, resolving this just out so many boards, which is great. The other nice thing about droplets as well is that even going second, when you send a Drytron, obviously it's not. Even going first. When I see this, if I have spare Drytrons in my hand, I always feel confident about sending them because obviously I know that the Drytrons can still resolve their effects and graves. So this card was just great all the time. Only managed to pick them up like a day before the event as well, which was hilarious. But moving on into the extra deck, 1 Link Rebo, 1 Masquerena, Nightmares, Napaloosa. I think those are links. Oh yeah, I've got access code right now, but it was actually Borrow Sword that I played in the event, and Herald. So yeah, these are the links that I played. So Link Rebo, really good, you just need a lot of the time, and people forget that you can obviously tribute this from the graveyard for your Drytrons, which is really good. I was doing that all through the event, which is nice, just because it meant I could consistently kind of have a Link Rebo live to protect my other cards. Masquerena, she was great. Nightmare's amazing. These really come up with Natasha, and that's why I was never banishing these off Prosperity, because Natasha was just so important. Appaloosa, great card. I didn't always make it, but sometimes I did make it. It's also FTK in the mirror because Drytron can't really out Appaloosa without excess cards. And then, like I said, I played Borrow Sword instead of access code. I just found that this deck didn't really struggle with removal, so I didn't need an access code. So I played Borrow Sword. Herald, this card's okay. It's probably the only card I'd cut. Its recursion effect is great, but good players just play around it and will force you to waste your battle phase to resolve it, which is a bit of a shame. But other than that, it is a good card. It's just a negate. Sometimes I don't really want to go into it. But I was very often ending on obviously this plus Vanity plus the Link, the XYZ, and the Magic Key. So that's 2 spell and trap negates and 3 spell and trap negates, sorry, and a counter trap, which is just a really hard board to deal with. And then as for the XYZs, so obviously we had our Zeus package. So this was the XYZ package I paid. So you had the Zeus package, then we had Fafnir's and Beatrice. Fuko was amazing all day. This card's just great. Against Despia, they find it so hard to deal with this because you just make this and they make Zeus. And because their board is very reactive, they can't do anything when this hits the board, they can't banish it. That's the problem with what's it called, with Lyrilusk Independent Nightingale. This beats Despia. Nightingale is better into most other matchups, but into the Despia matchup specifically, which is what I thought I'd be against the most, this is just better, it's free, and so that's why I made this. It's also good because obviously if you have a really bad board you get drawn, you can just make this and sit on it and pass, which is great. Also, if you have this plus Mystic Mine, it's really irritating for your opponents out, obviously, because they're not moving this, which means they need to out the mine, but very few decks can easily kind of out the mine with just 1 monster on the board, which is quite nice. Downed. I actually would remove this. This was almost always a Prosperity target because I was very rarely making a 4 material Zeus. It just wasn't relevant. Beatrice only comes up in certain hands, to be honest. You only really make her in hands where you open 1 Drytron name and Benton, because then you can kind of do a combo to get to your other Drytron names. But other than that, she didn't really come up. And then Fafnir's are good. The second Fafnir didn't really come up, but yeah, Prosperity target. So yeah, actually quickly to show the Prosperity targets. So it would depend on the hand, but in general, Prosperity targets were going to be Masquerade was the biggest one that I was banishing off Prosperity, just because if it comes up, it comes up. If I have 2 Drytron names, I don't need to hit her for the most part. And then that was the first 3 Prosperity targets. And then if I needed another 3, obviously Zeus is going to be a consistent one because he's not always useful. Then it would depend if I felt like the game potentially could kind of drag out and I would want a bit of ability to close out the game, then I'd get rid of Mirage Lights and Appaloosa. However, if I thought it was going to be a fast game and I just wanted kind of instant ability to kill my opponent, then I'd be more likely. If I thought the game was going to be fast, I would get rid of these. If I thought the game was going to be long, then I'd get rid of access code, Fuko, and the second Fafnir. So yeah, it just would depend on what's happening. But yeah, that was my Prosperity targets. And then, oh yeah, I forgot the last 2 cards. Last 2 cards were obviously these, just, yeah, Diviner targets. And then my side deck. So with the side deck again, I am missing some cards because I did have to borrow Lightning Storms. But yeah, so these were the cards I didn't play. I think I played this in my side deck. I didn't play the Herald. But yeah, I played one Token Collector because, yeah, never signed it in. I only faced also on the side events, and I just never needed it. Free Twin because it's good, Red Reboot because it's good, Anti-Spell because it's good, Lava Golem because it's good, and then didn't play Dark Readers. I actually played 3 Lightning Storms, which I borrowed off a mate. But yeah, just really not much to say. This card's just really cracked into so many decks because they just, you don't need your normal summon at all in this deck, and this just outs their whole board, and it just makes it very easy. Like, you make this, and then you just Zeus them. Or you don't even have to Zeus them. Sometimes I'd make this and just sit on this with the defense position Zeus because this can't out the Zeus. Then wait till their end phase, out their board, and then just kill them, which is really great. Anti-Spell's OP in this deck because obviously all your outs are going to be, all the stuff that they're going to side against you are going to be things like Lightning Storm, Dark Readers and stuff, so this just stops all of that back row stuff. And then yeah, Idaten, I put this in the side deck because I thought, okay, in the occasion that I need to side in this, I side in the Idaten as well, and it just gives me a bit of extra access to it, but it just never really came up. Like, I didn't actually have trouble making Beatrice when I wanted to make it, and other than that, yeah, I don't know. I think Idaten's bad, I just don't think it comes up that much, but I am trying it now in my current build. And then yeah, 3 Lightning Storms. So that was my Drytron build. So like I said, the event itself, the main event didn't go amazingly for me, but the side events did go quite well, which is nice. It'll be interesting to see if I stay with this deck or not. Right now I'm leaning towards staying with it because I am quite impressed with how good Drytron's is. And I'm also quite happy because I feel like it was a good meta call to pick Drytrons. They had a really good conversion rate because this format, this is probably one of the most unfair combo decks at the moment. Like, if you have combo, you just kind of win. It's very hard for your opponent to stop you, unlike the other combo decks. And then in addition to that, you also have really nice grinding Drytrons, which is great. But yeah, guys, so thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you all soon. Peace.